When life feels overwhelming, when you're surrounded on all sides by uncertainty, challenges, or fear, where do you fix your gaze? The answer to this question shapes everything. There's a subtle yet profound distinction. You can ask questions of God without questioning God. Let me say that again. You can ask questions about your situation, about the storms you're weathering, and even about the burdens weighing on your heart, without questioning who God is. When you focus on the character of God, His faithfulness, His sovereignty, His unfailing love, it anchors you. Your perspective shifts not because the storm disappears, but because your vision is set on the one who controls the storm. Let's dive into this message together.
Imagine a young child at a busy amusement park, holding a bright red balloon. The child is full of excitement, but in the crowd's chaos, they accidentally let go of their parent's hand. Suddenly, the once thrilling atmosphere turns overwhelming. Strangers rush by, loud noises echo all around, and the child's heart races with fear. In a moment of panic, the child begins to cry, overwhelmed by the sea of unfamiliar faces. But then, amidst the chaos, they hear their parents' familiar voice calling out to them. The child searches frantically until they see their parents standing a few steps away, arms open wide, eyes filled with reassurance. The child runs toward them, and as they are scooped up into their parents' arms, everything changes. The crowd is still there, and the noise hasn't disappeared, but the fear subsides. Why? Because the child isn't focused on the crowd anymore. They're focused on the one who keeps them safe. This simple yet profound shift in perspective illustrates something critical about how we navigate life's challenges. Just like the child found safety by refocusing on their parent, we too must consider where we place our focus amidst life's noise. So let me ask you today, what are you looking at? In a world filled with distractions, news feeds, social media, endless updates on global crises, it's so easy to focus on the chaos. Every headline, every notification, every piece of bad news seems to demand our attention. And before we know it, our hearts feel heavy, burdened by things we can't control. The more we dwell on the problems, the more they magnify in our hearts, weighing us down like a heavy cloak. Fear thrives on attention. The more we look at our problems, the bigger they seem. But Scripture reminds us to redirect our gaze. Hebrews 12:2 says, "Fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith." Fixing our eyes on Jesus doesn't mean ignoring our circumstances or denying reality. It means choosing to focus more on God's promises than on our problems. Why does this matter? Because what you focus on shapes your emotions, your actions, and your faith. When we focus on the storms, fear overtakes us. When we focus on God, peace anchors us. Let's consider the story of King Jehoshaphat in 2 Chronicles 20. He faced what seemed like an impossible situation. A vast army, a multitude of enemies threatening destruction, was advancing against him. Despite his position as king, with access to resources, tactical teams, and military power, he prayed one of the most vulnerable prayers recorded in Scripture. "We are powerless against this great multitude coming against us. We do not know what to do, but our eyes are on you." Jehoshaphat didn't have a plan. He didn't try to rely on his own strength or wisdom. Instead, he acknowledged his weakness and fixed his eyes on God. What's remarkable about this story is that the armies against him weren't just one or two, they were three, and one of them was new, unfamiliar, and overwhelming. Maybe that's where you find yourself. You've faced battles before, but this time, it's different. The stress isn't just from work, it's layered with financial pressure and health concerns. The parenting challenges aren't new, but they've escalated. The cultural chaos feels relentless, compounded by personal grief. It's the piling on that often leaves us feeling powerless and planless. Yet Jehoshaphat's story reminds us that even when we feel surrounded on all sides, we can still fix our eyes on God. Fixing your eyes on God doesn't always change the circumstances, but it changes you. It steadies you. It reminds you that the same God who parted the Red Sea, who defeated giants, who brought dry bones to life, is the same God who is with you now. When we fix our gaze on Jesus, we see beyond the storm. Instead of being consumed by fear, we are consumed by faith. Instead of drowning in doubt, we are lifted by hope. The problems may still exist, but their grip on us weakens because our hearts are anchored in the one who is greater. Think about Peter walking on water in Matthew 14. As long as his eyes were on Jesus, he walked on the waves. But the moment he looked at the wind and the waves around him, he began to sink. The storm didn't change. What changed was Peter's focus. And the same is true for us. When we focus on the chaos, we sink under its weight. But when we focus on Christ, we rise above it. So I ask you again, where are you looking? Are you consumed by the problem, or are you lifting your eyes to the one who holds the solution? The enemy will always try to distract you. His goal is to make you lose focus, to water down your faith, to keep you fixated on the noise rather than the voice of God. But you have a choice. You can choose to fix your eyes on God daily. You can choose to meditate on His word, to declare His promises over your life, and to find strength in His presence. When the distractions come, remind yourself of this truth. Your focus determines your peace. Instead of scrolling through headlines that amplify fear, scroll through scripture that amplifies faith. Instead of rehearsing what could go wrong, meditate on what God has promised to make right. Instead of looking inward at your limitations, look upward at God's limitless power. Fixing your eyes on God is not a passive act. It's intentional. It's a choice you make every day to prioritize His voice over the noise. There is power in where we fix our eyes. Like the child in their parents' arms, our fear diminishes when we shift our focus. The problems may not disappear, but their power over us does. Fix your eyes on Jesus, and you'll find that peace, hope, and strength are never far away.
Thank you for watching and reflecting on this important truth with me. If this message spoke to you, please like, share, and comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for more messages like this. And as you go through the week, remember to fix your eyes on Jesus. He is your anchor, your strength, and your peace. Until next time, stay blessed.